When did you start your business?
We started we got incorporated in 1999, January 6th that year. We really started probably most of the year before that. We were gathering people from various different jobs. A number of us had already quit and started working. We were actually working under the corporate guise, but not actually incorporated yet. So we were doing some work as independent contractors, and then we actually got incorporated then. So 15 years ago. Myself, my father had run his own business, and my mother's father had run his own business. So my dad actually bought the business from my grandfather. So I was always working with him at that office. When I was about your age, I was actually programming for him, actually younger than you. I was programming for him when I was 14, writing business software with him. So I'd go down there, he'd pick me up from school and take me back, and we'd go to work for a while. So that was really my experience of the workforce, and what a job was to go to work for yourself, kind of from a young age. So I just always figured I would be doing that level of work. And then I went to college, got out of college, and got a job with a few different big companies as an engineer, and just didn't ever really feel like I was involved with what I really wanted to be involved with, which is stuff more detailed work with building a business and working with customers and all of the fun stuff dealing with employees and that. So it's kind of how I got into it.
So what is it exactly that your business does?
We've evolved. When we started out, we were doing custom software development for businesses. So we would pick up whatever we could when we were smaller, trying to grow, and we would wind up doing websites and basic stuff. But what we really wanted to do was enterprise level systems for companies that couldn't find a product that would fit their needs. So they'd go out and search around and see if they could find a QuickBooks-like type of system to run their business, and there's very few systems like that, and then they weren't really big enough to build their own system internally, so they're looking for developers on the outside who had experience to do that. So we did a lot of that for probably the first 7 or 8 years, and then once we had a good set of core software that we had already built up and gone through multiple systems of building different businesses, we started aggregating that into a product. So we concentrated in the barge industry was our initial industry that we rolled out into. So we actually have a software product that is running, probably 5 or 6 different barge companies, inland waterway companies. So they're pushing the barges up and down the rivers. Probably 7,000 barges touch our software every day, or not touch our software. Our software helps the businesses that are moving around 5,000-6,000 barges a day every day. So we did that, and then we also wound up developing a landscaping company, enterprise software that does similar type of stuff. So it tracks the contracts as the salespeople go out and write the contracts with the customers. That drives the workflow into the system. We track the data through the system as people do their work on moving the barges or mowing the lawns, doing the landscaping, planting the trees. They collect all that data, and then we actually do the invoicing out of our system, and then that integrates back with their accounting system on the backside. So it's a very different business than writing custom software, a little bit less coding and more customizing and feeding back into a good core product that then you can go out and market to additional companies without having to go back and rebuild from scratch, which really is a very difficult project and takes a lot of good experience to do that. So.
Where did you get your startup capital from to start the business itself?
The 3 of us each put in $2,000. That was it. We had an initial startup customer, so we walked pretty quickly in after quitting our full-time, daytime jobs. Got an engagement with a customer, so we walked right into billing, and we just built it up from there on. We never have taken out a loan for growing the company. Capital. We didn't really. Our capital was we each needed a laptop, and we needed a place to work, so we actually worked out of people's basements for a while. We did some of that. There's a St. Louis County incubator that is basically discounted office space and assistance. They have somebody there that would help with some of the administrative things for you, and they coordinate with you and have a mentor. So we took advantage of that. That helped mitigate some of that risk as well you asked about before. So that really helped us to keep our costs down. So we didn't overcommit to growing ahead of time. So it's not like we had to go out and buy $100,000 worth of anything to start up. So we were able to keep our costs low.
What risks did you take starting the business?
What risks did we take? Well, two of us had young children, actually about your age. My son Andrew had just been born not too long before we got started. So yeah, we went from having a comfortable job with a regular paycheck to I've got to earn my money every day, or else I can't make my house payment. So that was kind of a big jump. I had actually, like I said, we had kind of started working about a year before we got incorporated. A few years before that, probably a year and a half to 2 years before that, I had actually gone out on my own as a contractor and was working for a company that my two other partners at the time had actually worked at as well. So I was kind of a little bit used to it, but it is a big step to go, okay, I'm used to having a paycheck every 2 weeks or twice a month, and then realizing I'll get paid when the people that I'm working for are happy with me and they cut me a check. That was probably the biggest risk, really. We were comfortable with our capabilities, with what we knew we could do. The timing at that time was good. There was a lot of work going on. It was right before the whole Y2K thing, which is a little bit before your time, but there was a lot of technical work going on. So there really wasn't a high risk of us finding work to do. The real risk was finding enough work to do to cover our bills that we were used to living off of on our paychecks. So,
Have you faced any ethical dilemmas?
yeah, I think everybody does. It's always a challenge to price things right, where you're making enough money but not taking advantage of a customer who doesn't really have the ability to judge the cost of that. So how do you price your services to somebody is always an interesting thing. As much as the market will bear, but how do you make sure you work hard enough for that customer so that you've earned the money that they're paying? And I think we do a good job of that. We're very conscientious about it, and that was again one of the things that we had seen in prior companies where we're like, they're trying to sell a contract to somebody, and then they'll take anybody that they can and toss them into that role and get the money while they can, and then if they get booted out, they go somewhere else and try and sell that person to somebody else. That's always a challenge.
What are some of the characteristics that you or your partners have that you think makes you successful?
I would say definitely the integrity. We firmly believe that we're helping our customers' businesses improve. We're not out there trying to gouge them or take a profit that's not fair. So we like to offer a service that is of value to them, and if we're not giving them the value that if they don't agree that we're giving them value, we want to try and figure out how to make that equation right versus just again selling them whatever we can get away with selling them. And there's a lot of scrupulous businesses out there that are more worried about what's showing up in their bank account than building a good long-term relationship with our customers. We're still working with customers that we started working with 14, 15 years ago. So
what are some of the upsides of owning your own business?
none. You get to go home early every day. No, that's not the case. Um, Upsides. Kind of comes down to that satisfaction of knowing that you're doing something that's important to multiple people, I think. There's a lot of downsides. um, you feel a responsibility. They're kind of, it's a yin-yang on all of them as I try to think about saying something's a downside. The feeling of the weight of responsibility of everybody else is gone, or it's a weekend and there's a problem, and guess what? I need to get in there because I'm the one that's going to get hurt if this creates a problem for the company. That weighs on you. It weighs on your personal relationships, on your kids. They look at you and go, wait a minute, Dad was supposed to be here at 6. And one of the measures of success, and this would be a place where if I could go back and start over again, I would try to balance that better. But it's a typical thing in my understanding and readings on other people in the same circumstance. Starting a company up is finding that balance is really challenging to know when to say, okay, I've got to set this aside and I will truly turn it off and I'm going to switch gears, and now I'm focusing on not the business. And a big piece of that is getting the business so that it can run itself. And for too many years, our focus was more on doing the business instead of building the business. So the downside is if you don't be careful to build the machine will own you, and it won't work without you. It's a lot of hard work. I mean, it's hard to ever set down. And one of the things about an entrepreneur is they can't set it down. Even when you try to take a break, it's hard to go, I'm done. I mean, when I walk out, I'm here late every night almost. I get in trouble for it on a daily basis, and whoever is with me has to, as my partner, needs to put up with the fact that I'm not going to, this is kind of my number one, which is a bad thing for a relationship, personal relationships, because it's not really my number one, but it doesn't understand if you don't get the job done. It will fail if you don't get done what needs to be done. So succeed at doing that and get enough done that it continues. And it's a battle for me. I find it hard to ever turn myself off and say, okay, I am done. But the reward is you see it continuing to grow and blossom, even though you don't think you're giving it enough. The responsibility of treating the company as almost as another person, that it's important, more important than any one person in the company, which means if you've got somebody that is holding the rest of the people down or the company down, you've now got to make the call to get that person out of the organization.
Do you have any regrets?
Only what I said, that I wish we would have, or I would have personally, and we each of the people have done it to a different degree of having it not impact my outside life as much as I've let it, by having been better earlier at building a machine that would run itself, more than being so critical to so many things